Hey, I'm Diana J. Brody from NLE Academy, and today I'm going to go over 5 Premiere Pro 2025 AI features that you need to know. You need to know them, and this is part of a new segment that I like to call
Beep boop bop robot overlord.
So let's get started. We're going to jump in and start right away with scripting. So I have already gotten a transcript of the clip, of all the clips in the timeline. If you don't have that stuff transcribed already, you can, when you open up the text window, it'll tell you there's nothing transcribed, and you can hit transcribe, and it'll transcribe either the clip on the source side or it can transcribe the clip in the timeline side. So whether it's the source or the timeline, doesn't matter. If you come down here and you see follow active monitor right down here at the very bottom of this, that follow active monitor will allow it to either see the clip or the timeline side in your transcript, in your text tab. So if you want to transcribe what is in your timeline and it's not letting you, come down here and say follow active monitor. Now, you'll see we've got these little 3 dots here, but we've also got brackets that say filler. The 3 dots are showing like long pauses. The filler is like, you know, I don't know if it does, you know, I wish it would, because people do that all the time. But at any rate, we can get rid of these, and we can get rid of these pretty easily. We can get rid of the pauses and the filler words on the timeline side. You can't take them from the clip. The clip is the clip. So if you wanted to just cut all the filler words out of like a big long clip before you even cut it into the timeline, make it into its own sequence, and then delete all the filler words and all the pauses from that sequence, and then copy and paste that into where you want it in your bigger sequence. That's the only way to get it out of a clip, just your raw clip from the source side. But let's just work with the timeline side for right now. Right now, as you can see, here's my timeline right here. Here's my text. Normally, I wouldn't have this window over the other window, but for demonstration purposes, here we go. So here's my clip. You see we've got a lot of pauses. We've got a lot of filler words right here. Now watch, I'm going to come up here to this little funnel. I don't understand this icon, the look of this icon. I'm not quite sure what they think that icon speaks to us, but this is where it is. They could have made it just like a fast menu, like a wrench or something, right? Like they use on everything else. But here you go. You've got text, which is what we're on. If we want to get rid of the filler words, we can click on filler words. Now all the filler is highlighted, and we can say delete. And once we click delete, it'll say, do we want to extract it? Do we want to lift it? Do we want to delete just this one instance, or do we want to delete them all? If we extract them, it will close the gap. If we lift them, it will leave a gap where those once were. I go back and forth. Sometimes I like to lift it and leave that gap, and then I'll put room tone in that gap, right? And go from there. Sometimes I just say, no, just go ahead and extract them all so that it closes the gap, and then I'll add spacing where I need to. Either way, season to taste, and you can delete just the one instance, or we can delete them all. I'm going to say delete them all because it's going to look kind of cool. So let's click delete all. Boom. See all these cuts? That's all the filler words gone from my timeline. Then I have to go back and I have to massage that timeline, right? And I have to make it so it doesn't sound all weird and janky. And then I'm going to put B-roll over all these cuts, which I know a lot of people on social media don't really do so much or very well. And that's for another video, but I'm going to cover all those cuts. At any rate, let's also come up here and go to pauses. So now, every time you see these 3 dots, look at all these pauses. If I click delete, I get the same option. Do I want to extract them? Do I want to lift them? Lifting, let's lift these because we just extracted. So let's show what it's going to look like if we just lift them. There's only 2 big pauses in my timeline. We'll say delete all, And then notice on these big pauses, it left this massive gap. It also, of course, lifted our music with it, but we can fix that, right? We can go to there, click on that, hit E for extend, and it goes to there. Hit E again for extend, and now it's fixed. Boom, fix the music. Super easy to fix, so don't freak out about that. But you can, this is a really great use of AI, folks. We can get rid of, I like to do, I'll put in all my interviews, I'll put in all my SOTs, right? My sound on tape, all my interviews, I'll get my A-roll all laid out, and then I'll come up here and I'll say get rid of filler words, get rid of pauses, and then I'll go back and I'll massage it, and I'll put a pause back in here or there, make it sound more natural so it's not over-cutty. But that's a really good way to start. I especially did this right off the bat when I was editing a podcast. Editing a podcast, holy moly, was this a lifesaver. Made things go so much faster. So keep that in mind, all you people out there in YouTube land who are doing podcasts, editing podcasts. You want to use these two things right here. Hey, if you want to get a one-on-one 20-minute career consultation with me for free, I've got that open as well. I'm going to leave that link below. Hit that up. You're going to want to take advantage of that. So now let's go to the next tool. We're going to go to the remix tool. The remix tool. Everybody, I think, is pretty well versed in the remix tool now, but just in case, I'm going to go over it again because I actually have run into a few people who didn't know about it. So here's my music cue, right? I have my music cue, and let's say I want this cue. See the little sting out where the music cue resolves? That's the end of the cue. Here's the sting out right there. Let's say I actually want it to sting out right here instead, right? All the way back here. I can come up here to, is it this one? Nope, I always get it wrong the first time. I mapped it to my keyboard, as would come as no surprise to anybody who is a regular watcher of this channel. But under this tool in your toolbar, the ripple tool, come all the way down and they put the remix tool there. Remix tool right there. So now I can click the edge of this remix tool and I can drag it all the way back to here and say, I want this to resolve. I want the sting out to resolve. It's not an exact science. Sometimes it can really hit it. Sometimes it can't. You see that there's this wavy line right here. This wavy line's telling you that that's a place where the computer made an edit, but it sounds flawless. It sounds flawless, but it's not quite stinging out where I want it to sting. So let me try it again and come back a little forward. Now it's stinging out. And so as you can see, it's made a cut here, it's made a cut there in order to make it work, but it will sound flawless. And now my sting is pretty much closer to where I wanted it to be. You gotta kind of noodle with it. It's not quite where you want it. I would love to just be like, I want it here. And I go there and it goes there and it's flawless, but it's not quite. It doesn't quite get it all the time. But when it does work, mwah, chef's kiss, it's a thing of beauty. The other thing is you can go the other way with it, right? So I can take this end and I can drag this end if I wanted it to end here. Now it's lengthened the cut for me. It's done the looping for me. And again, you can see, right? It didn't quite get to where I want it. So if I undo that and I drag it back out, let's drag it to there. And you kind of got to, yeah. It's not an exact science. But you can see where it's made cuts in order to loop and lengthen it, and it will sound flawless, but it might not get exactly where you need it to go. But when it does, again, it's a thing of beauty. So just know the remix tool is there for you. Shorten or lengthen, you can do both with the remix tool. One thing to keep in mind is that if you are going to audio post and you're not the last person to touch this, let's say you're editing a feature doc and then that feature doc goes to audio post and they're going to do a whole pass, you can't have these in it. It is created its own clip. In fact, watch what happens when I match frame. When I match frame, you get all these it's created its own new clip right here. And you can see these wavy lines for where it was cut and did its looping in order to make it longer, or where it cut in order to make it shorter. And if I match frame again, now I'm back to the original clip. So just know, if you're not the last stop for audio, if it's going to an audio post person, you can't use this tool for that. Or if you're going to use this tool for it and you're like, it's flawless, I love it as it is, then what I would recommend is going ahead and I'm going to click on A2, deselect V1 over here. This is on the sequence selector side. And I'm going to hit mark clip, and it's going to mark a clip. And by the way, if you don't know mark clip, I'm going to link right here, or right here, somewhere in the upper area, to mark clip, to a video I did on mark clip. So mark clip on this, and then I'm going to export it. Now I'll export this and as like a wave, right? Audio wave file, and then I'll bring that audio wave file back in and I'll drop it in so that it's actual media for it that I've generated. Then I'm going to make sure that that clip I exported that I've now brought back in is also on the drive that's going to go to the audio person. If you're sending them a drive, if you're just sending them files, it will export with, your AAFs or whatever you're making to send to audio post. But just keep that in mind. This is only good if it's just you and it's not going to go to audio post. Keep that in mind. Remix tool. Okay, your next new Premiere Pro 2025 new AI feature is Reframe for social. Reframing for social. I couldn't love this any more than I already do, and I love it a lot. We're going to go to where our sequence is, right? So this sequence happens to be called B-roll selects. I don't know why. It's not necessarily B-roll selects, but let me grab the bin that it's in. I'm going to bring it over here so that we can see it. So here it is, B-roll selects. That's this right here. Let's say we wanted to make B-roll selects. In fact, here, let's do this. I'm going to undock this panel and bring it over here just so we can see it better. Okay, so let's say I want to reframe this for social. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to go down to, maybe I'm a lying liar. No, here it is. I'm going to go down to auto reframe sequence. Auto reframe sequence. I'm going to choose that. And I'm going to get this dialog box. Here's the sequence name. What's my aspect ratio? Do I want it square, 1:1 for like something like Instagram, let's say? Or do I want it more likely vertical 9:16 for YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram Stories? No, Instagram Stories or Instagram Reels would be 9:16, right? Motion tracking default, you could say slower motion, faster motion. I usually just start on the default. Clip nesting, I like to say don't nest clips. This will replace my current motion adjustments. If you say nest clips, this will keep my current motion adjustments but remove transitions. Either way, I highly encourage you to noodle around with both of these until you've got it where you want it, right? Until you've got your flow where you want your flow. And sometimes you might want to nest them and sometimes you might not. I say don't nest them so that it re-noodles my motion tab, so that my motion tab is, it makes it full frame. Now, that said, it's not always accurate where I want it, and then I got to turn it off. I will show you in 1 second, but let's go ahead and say create. Now, notice that it has created a whole new sequence called, let me move that bin out of the way, called B-roll sequences, B-roll selects rather, 9:16. So we've got B-roll selects, that's a regular, the way the good Lord intended, 16:9. And then here's the 9:16. Now, as you can see, so it's keeping Denny, here's Denny and the thing, so that's good, that worked. So this is why I like to say don't nest clips, because I'm like, I want it to give it a try. Look, it got my cousin right in the frame really nicely. Give it a try. I want it to give it a try and do it. And but there are going to be times in which, like here, if I'm like, oh, okay, for this clip, I want to move that so it's center frame. I'm going to click on this clip. I'm going to go up to our effect controls. I'm going to go over to motion. I'm going to click on motion, and I'm just going to move it over, right? I'm going to move it over and make sure that the bottom is, there's no black bar on the bottom, black bar on the top. So I might come over here and I might move in on it. Let's say 33. There we go. And just make it. So you're still going to have to go through and adjust clip by clip. If I wanted to adjust Denny, you notice how it reframed Denny for me. And so the motion tab is grayed out. If you didn't like its framing, or you like the framing, but you want it maybe to scale it up, if you click over here where it's turned off the motion tab, click on that, then it will let you click on and do it yourself and move it in yourself. 130, and let's, boom, get him big in the frame. So then you can do that. But if you like the way it's framed it, then you're good to go. That was Reframe for Social. Now let's go on to tip number 4. This is Premiere Pro 2025 new AI features. Tip number 4. Here we go. That just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? It is taking out background noise from your audio. So I'm going to get rid of this for right now, just to get a cleaner look on our timeline. And anyway, let me get out of that. Let's get back to our 16:9 as was intended. So here we are in 16:9. Again, I'm going to get rid of this just to make this look a little cleaner. I'm a lying liar lies. One thing I want to show you really quickly first is that there's an auto detect the type of audio it is. So as you can see over here, it already has auto detected the fact that this is music. You can see by that music. If it's mistagged it and this isn't music, I can click on that and it will open up the essential sound panel up here. And then I can tell it, I can say clear audio type, and I can tell it that it's a different audio type. And so let's say I go to Barack, my cousin Barack, and it doesn't know what this is. So I'm going to click it and say it's dialogue. Now, once I choose that it's dialogue, I can take I can use any of these presets. I can take out the background noise. I can make it louder or softer. I can noodle with the clarity. Here's clip volume. Here are dynamics. Here's EQ, right? I can do all this kind of stuff. But one of the things that I really, really like the best, that I use most, is I really do like the presets of what kind of room is it, right? Small, dry room. I can affect the background noise and stuff with it. And here, background voice, it's not a background voice. You want vocal presence. So here's vocal presence. Now I can change it here. Again, if you want it to sound like it's coming from a telephone, you can come up here and so it'll sound like he's speaking through a telephone. So these are really some really cool stuff that you can do with it. And you can get out the background noise really, really well with it. So you can come over to the vocal enhancer, high tone or low tone. If you click on creative, you can add some reverb to it. You can tell it what kind of room it's in. Again, you can thicken the voice. You can adjust the amount. This whole new essential sound tab has been really, really great. And I've just used it a ton to make stuff sound so cool and so much better. If you want to analyze it, you can tell it to reanalyze. Click on that and it will go through and reanalyze it for you. You can adjust the clarity. But under repair, if I click on repair, then I can reduce the background noise. Boom. I can de-hum it. Noodle around and de-hum it. I can reduce all sorts of things. I can reduce the the essing, the sibilance, right? I can reduce the reverb that's in it, or enhance the reverb. All of this kind of stuff under repair. You got to make sure to click that on under repair. Turn this on. Go in. Start noodling around with essential sound. Essential sound. It is pretty great, and the preset matters, right? In a large room, from a telephone, from the radio, outside the building, you can make podcast voice, right? If you're doing a podcast, you can put it on podcast voice, and then you can turn on, reduce the noise. You can noodle with that. You've got a dehummer. All of this cool stuff comes with the Essential Sound panel, and it all starts with choosing the audio type, choosing your preset, and then noodling around. Some things are on by default, some things you have to switch on. But it gives you a lot of really cool stuff to work with, and you can really, really get your sound great. Especially if you're doing narratives and you've got someone who's on a phone and you want to make that other voice sound like it's on a phone. You can just do it right through Premiere now. It's just delightful. So there you go. That was number 4, the Essential Sound panel. The Essential Sound panel and the AI sound stuff that you can now do. Okay, scene detection. This is new and so freaking cool. This is one of my favorite new Premiere Pro AI tips to give you from 2025. Here we go. Scene detect. I have here a trailer that I cut for a pretend video about my cousin's dog, a pretend movie about my cousin's dog, Flurry, and rest in peace, and his playmate, Gary, right there. That's Gary the dog. So anyway, so you can see there's a lot of different scenes, right? There's a lot of different clips, a lot of different scenes. Let's say I was doing an edit and I wanted to know, I wanted to put a cut point every time the scene changed. So I've edited this entire trailer back into a sequence, and I want to know where all the scenes are in this, because I'm going to grab scene by scene. Let's say I'm going to grab the text to dump in a whole different video. I come over here to my clip in the timeline, and I choose my clip, and I right click, and I say scene edit detection. Scene edit detection. Now I'm going to get this dialog box. I can create a bin of subclips from each detected cut point. How cool is that? Apply a cut at each detected cut point. Yes, please. Absolutely. That's the point of what we're doing. Create a clip marker at the detected cut point. So I could, instead of saying cut it, I could say create a marker. I can also say both. Do both. I want a marker and a cut point. You don't really need both. If you're going to put a marker, that's the marker. If you're going to, then that's fine. But I would like it to cut instead of just put a marker there. I want it to cut at each detected point and create me a bin of subclips, please. Robot. And I'm going to say analyze. Then it takes just a second. It's analyzed the cut. So you can see, every time, not just between video and the title cards, but here's a title part. So, it's not exact science, right? Because here it is, and then that's the same one. So I could go ahead and delete that one by clicking on it and hitting delete. So I've deleted that little edit right there. And then here's the next one. Here's the next one. So it's just super handy, and it detects all of those. And not for nothing, let me undock panel. It's created an entire bin of little subclips for me. Look at this. Watch this. If I double click on this, it's just that. Double click on this, it's just that scene. How nice is that? Look at that. Oh, that didn't quite work out. Here we go. Here's another scene. Another scene. So as you can see, it's done that. It's so super handy. I really love this, especially because a lot of times I will have a client send me, here, we did this video eons ago and we want to use X, Y, and Z for social media clips. And they'll send me the clip. I will do auto scene detect, so it'll find all the scenes. At the very least gives me a really solid jumping off point. I can just look here on my timeline and see where all the cut points are, find those scenes that they want to take out and make social, get rid of the rest. It makes it so much faster for me. What are some of the new AI features that you're using most in your edits from Premiere Pro? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for the algo, but more importantly, I really want to know, what are your favorite AI features so far? What AI features are you like, that's not ready for prime time? Let me know. I want to know. Hit me up in the comments, and I hope that this video was helpful for you. I'm going to continue to update on the Premiere Pro 2025 new AI features as they come in. I will be doing videos for them, so watch this space.